And welcome to the Davenport Coaches Show, coming to you live from Uccello's in Caledonia. I'm Rick Berkey. The head coach, Sparky McEwen, is to my left, ready to talk about an exciting Davenport season-opening win last Saturday in Kentucky over Thomas More University by a count of 24-17. He's brought a couple of special guests, a couple players that played extremely well, one on the offensive side, one on the defensive side. We'll get to them a little bit later. Then in our final segment, Coach will come back and we'll talk about this Saturday's game in the capital city area in Maryland, actually just across the border from Washington, D.C. against Bowie State. That comes up this Saturday at 12 noon. And we should mention 1 week from Saturday, the home opener against Central Missouri State at Davenport, 12 noon kickoff. Make your plans now to be a part of that. We've got a lot of excitement. We'll talk about that more next week. But it's great finally to get a chance to see these young men at home a week from Saturday. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the win. 24-17 over Thomas More down in Kentucky. You got off to a great start. Touchdowns the first two possessions. Two touchdowns gave you a 14-0 lead. And Kendall Williams, your new acquisition, transfer from Wayne State, first two times he touches the football, he takes it to the house.
You got to love that. You know, when you pick guys up of that caliber and then they come in, the first two touches, they score. I was so excited about him. He's so small. Wait till you see him. But he's tough, he's fast, he's quick. And you know what? More importantly than that, you know, he's just a gentleman. Wait till you get a chance to meet that young man. And I was excited about the start. You know, we got off to a quick start, and, you know, it's different coming out of camp. You know, as a coach, you worry about those first few possessions and those guys that came out like some true veterans. And they did a really good job, so I was proud of them from that standpoint. But then after that, you know, things kind of settled down for both sides, and it became more of a better football game for Thomas More.
Well, you told me all preseason you got two quarterbacks that you feel really good about, actually three quarterbacks. And the top two, you said, I like them both. And then you told me I'm going to play them both. Now, you've told me that before when it didn't happen. You weren't bluffing this time. You alternated quarterbacks every other series, and they both contributed well.
I've known you for quite a while. I don't think I've ever bluffed you, but you've been on me. You took that thing right up down to the last second, and I really didn't know who was going to start because both of those guys, I'm enjoying this season. I'm going to enjoy this season because I have a veteran football team. Those two young men, they're outstanding young men, and both have their degrees, and they're very mature, and they've become pretty good friends, you know, so that's exciting for me, and it's exciting for the team. They're great leaders, and it's something because both of those guys, you know, when we had captain selections, one of those guys would have won, but they split votes. And I told them, I said, you know, just because you're not a captain doesn't mean you're not a leader, and they're both great leaders, and I feel very comfortable with the football in both their hands, you know, and as the season goes, we'll see how this thing plays out, but based on what I've experienced from January to now, what you see right now is what you're going to get the rest of the year, and we've got a few more goodies in the bag because we have a third quarterback that can play as well, and all those young men are great. I love working with them. I get to coach them, you know, personally, and our room is excited, and it's a healthy competition, and that's the thing that's fun about college football is when you have good people that you can work with.
Well, your defense came up big a number of times throughout the day, and speaking of big Giamonte Peck, he was a beast on the defensive line, 9 tackles, 4 solos, and 2 tackles for loss.
He told me going into this thing that he says, I got something for you. And I hope he keeps giving me whatever he's got for me because that was a huge effort. Anytime you have someone of that nature playing on the inside that, you know, can get close to double digits in tackles, that says a lot about the type of player that he is. And Thomas More, you know, I've always given credit where it's due, and those guys, they had some tough offensive linemen, and so he had a fight in there. He had a war all the entire game, but he's an explosive player. You know, here's a guy that, once again, you know, he's fighting for something, man, and I hope I get that the entire year out of G.
Speaking of the defensive line, key part of the game, I thought, was there was They had the momentum. They'd gotten a couple touchdowns in the second half and gotten right back into the game. They had the ball. They were driving again. Kennedy Nelson forces the fumble, and big Austin Steve picks it up, rumbles and stumbles, and takes it back about 19 yards on the return. That was a big turnaround in terms of momentum, I thought.
Those two players are some of my favorites. You know, they needle me all the time. Two youngsters that they're very, very talented, and it's always something to prove with those two. They talk trash to me all practice, every practice, and they just have fun coming to practice. And seeing those two get that thing done, that was exciting. And when you can have a defense that comes in and causes turnovers and get you the ball back, it really puts you in a good position on offense, knowing that your defense is going to get you +2, every week. So, I'm excited for this crew. We got a long season ahead of us, and we get on the bus tomorrow, and we actually enjoy our trips. When we go on the road, we actually enjoy our trips. And, every coach will tell you privately that there's teams that they love, and then there's just teams that they're okay with, that they like. I love this team. This team has a lot of character. We have fun, and on game day, man, they're pretty intense.
Well, this team also has the back-end ball hawks once again. You had 3 interceptions, 2 by Christian Jones, who we're going to visit with in a little bit, and 1 from Cameron Grotehouse, who also had 7 tackles in his debut as a Panther. And my gosh, that DB, that defensive backs, really stepped up big when you needed it with those 3 picks.
They did. This is, the weird thing, and this, I don't know if you thought about this, but this game had so many characteristics of last year's game. We got out to a 24-0 start last year, and then all of a sudden, Thomas More fought back, got in the game, and we ended up winning, I think, 31-17. This game, we went up 21-0, and here comes Thomas More again. That's hats off to Chris. He does a good job. Those kids won't quit. But then again, when our team needs to buckle down and get things done, they show some resiliency to get that, to bring home and secure the win. Your
true freshman punter, Alec Woyan, didn't look like a true freshman. He made some big punts in some key times.
He did, and I like to say that once again, being able to tap into that family and bring another, quality young man in here like that. I was proud of him. He had an average over 41 yards. He he flipped the field a couple times, and we needed it out of him. It went down to the last wire because I was really worried. And each day he's just gotten better and better and better. And so we're excited for him. And he's got a long season ahead of him. We just got to keep him clean, take care of him, protect him, and let him continue to do his thing.
All right, Spark, again, a good win to start there. We're going to take a little break here, bring in a couple of your players to visit with. So you come back and enter the show. We'll talk about this week's opponent. So, again, congrats on a big win, and we look for more to come.
Awesome.
All right, we'll take a quick break, come back with our first guest, Christian Jones, defensive back who had 2 interceptions. Stay with us here on the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia. I can't hear you. We continue with the Davenport Coaches Show live from Uccello's in Caledonia. A special guest who made his mark in more than one way on Saturday in our opening game win in Kentucky. 3rd down play. Crone takes the snap. Back to pass in the pocket. Fires it deep down the right sideline, and the ball is intercepted by Davenport. Their 3rd interception of the game. And it is Christian Jones with his 2nd one today.
By number 2. Christian Jones.
Big play, Christian Jones picked it off, and DU gets the ball back with a 7-point lead and 13-10 to go in this 4th quarter. That was a big one when the momentum had been shifted over to the home team, and Christian Jones, a redshirt senior from River Rouge, Michigan, joins us right now. And you got to feel good about getting that opening win. Christian, tell us about your thoughts on the win on Saturday over Thomas More.
Yep, it was a great team win. I feel like the team really came together at the end of the game to pull off a win. And every team on our schedule is tough, so we beat a great team there, and it was just a good team win.
You know, you got 2 picks on Saturday. You've already doubled your total from last year. That's got to feel good.
Yep, that feels good. And once again, like with our defense, the communication was great out there. Coaches making great calls, so I just got to make sure I make the most of my opportunities.
The only downside is that you took one back to the house, but there was a penalty that brought it back, but the interception stood. You would like to have gotten into the end zone, though. You did get there, but I'd like to have it count.
Yep, I would like that. But our D linemen, they got the strip sack too, so they made up for that.
They certainly did. Let's talk a little bit about your days before you came here. Of course, before this year, rather, you were honorable mention all GLIAC last year. Christian, tell us a little bit about what you focused on in the offseason, where you thought you had to get better for your senior year.
Yep, really speed, strength, really all around, just trying to get better every day in the summer. So hands, trying to catch the ball better, learn more about concepts of the offense and understand what offenses are trying to do to us.
What did you stick around town, or did you go back home to the east side?
No, I stuck around out here all summer.
Did you train with other players, or most of it on your own in the summer?
Yep, I trained with our team with Coach Meach in the summer, and I also did a little training with a speed trainer out here named Coach Chuma.
Let's go back to your high school days. River Rouge High School has been very good to Davenport's football program through the years. Coach Corey Parker was, I'm sure, a big part of your life as a player.
Yep. Coach Parker was a huge impact on my life. He's one of the main reasons that I got to college, so I just got to give a huge shout out to him.
Let's tell us a little bit about your majoring in finance, and how close are you to your degree?
I got about 7 more classes, then I'll get my degree.
What are you thinking about doing with that whenever your football days are done?
Really, I'm just taking it day by day. I just know right now that I like I like learning about finance stuff, so the time will tell with that.
Tell us what you do, Christian, outside of football and class. What do you do for enjoyment, just for yourself?
I would say I do a lot of working out, and like I said, I do a lot of speed training too, so I work a lot of biomechanical stuff like that.
Coach, Coach talked to me a little while ago about this team seems to have bonded maybe a little earlier than a lot of teams have bonded. Tell us about what's bringing this team together so early.
I just feel like we all mesh well. I feel like we're all trying to come together for one goal, and I feel like that's bringing us together.
Well, you haven't had a chance to. Have you had a chance to look a little bit at a film? And what are you looking for this week as far as the opposition against Bowie? What are they going to bring to the table that you've got to be ready for?
They're a good team. We got to be ready. We got to be ready for everything, from empty to heavier personnel sets, 12 and 11. And really, they're a good team. So we just got to make sure we're locked in and focused.
Tell us somebody in your past, Christian, that was very influential as a person growing. Maybe not even football, but as a person that really influenced you and helped you become the person that you are.
I will give a huge shout out to my dad. He passed away back in 2020 when I first got out here. But really, he showed me how to be a man and how to take care of business.
All right, so you ready for another big one? Big win this Saturday?
Yep, got to take care of business.
All right, great to have you here, bud. Christian Jones, redshirt senior from River Rouge, will take a break and come back with another special guest as the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccellos in Caledonia continues here on DUPanthers.com. Man in motion. Now goes the other way. Kendall Williams will give it to delayed handle. Kendall Williams offside. Got a hold of 20, 15, 10, 5. Kendall Williams. Touchdown Davenport. Hello, Kendall Williams. Welcome to Davenport. 2 touches, 2 touchdowns, and the Panthers lead 13-0. And that's how this young man debuted as a Davenport Panther. His first time he touched the ball, caught a pass and went 56 yards for a touchdown down the sideline. Next time he touched it in the backfield and raced into the corner of the end zone for another score. I can't imagine you could have hoped for a better start as a Panther with that one, Kendall.
Honestly, it was a good start, and I'm hoping to keep it going. So that's what we're planning on.
Well, 2 touchdowns right away. And Coach talked in the offseason to me a lot about your versatility and how, you've been a running back in college till this year, but you got a stacked backfield so that they needed to put you in that slot. And he said he's going to be in the slot and he's also going to run the ball. Well, it looks like that's exactly the plan is working out. You're going to be doing both things.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, last game it was a good debut, so I'm looking forward to keep contributing to this team, as well as offensively, as well as special teams.
Kendall was first team All-GLIAC the last 2 years at Wayne State. Tell us about what appealed to you about the Davenport program and why you decided to come over to the west side and play here.
Honestly, the culture. What they presented to me was a great culture, a great group of players that wanted to focus on a single goal as to winning the GLIAC conference, as well as potentially winning a national championship, and that's something that has been on my mind ever since I touched college football, so I'm excited for it.
Kendall, your all-time favorite football player is Barry Sanders. Well,
Yeah.
you got the same stature as him. You're about the same size, aren't you?
Yeah, my granddad, he always put that in my head, and I always used to watch the Barry Sanders highlights, so that's something that I've always taken from Barry Sanders and how he runs, how he moves, gets away from the defenders.
Kendall had a fabulous high school career at Farmington under Coach Corey. You had 6 school records, and you scored 6 touchdowns in one game. Is that right? What do you remember about that night?
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night.
It was better than good.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good moment in my high school history as far as our football team at Farmington High, and it was great to be able to contribute from it. So.
All right, you came over again with the 2-time first team All-GLIAC. You had the athletic thing going with you, but when a guy comes in, you have to mesh off the field as well as on the field. And Coach talked about how you guys have meshed. How did you mesh, and how did you become part of this group so quickly?
They have always shown a welcoming environment towards me and the other transfers that came here. So it was honestly easy. It was a great transfer formation for us, and honestly, I couldn't complain about it. I just wanted to be here and dive into the culture that was established.
Well, you've already got your undergrad degree. You're going after your master's in business management, right? What would you like to do with that down the road?
I'm looking for a career within project management, so more so in the automotive industry, so we'll see how that goes.
Back on the east side, probably?
Hopefully, but there's nothing wrong with the west. So.
West rhymes with best. You just remember that, okay? West is best. No, but we're just so glad that we've got you here. I asked the same thing at Christian. Tell us somebody maybe who, either a coach or a player or a family member, that helped you grow as a person, not as opposed to a player.
My mom. My mom always been supportive of me and whatever I do. So when it comes to anything that I do, I always think about her and whatever I do. So that's someone.
All right. Where do you still have to get better as a football player, Kendall?
I would say speed, strength, and just always wanting to be more knowledgeable about the concepts as well as the defensive concepts that are seen within any defense that you see, any team that we are.
Okay. We mentioned you shifting from a running back to a wide receiver. What was the hardest transition for you going as far as the wide receiver position?
It was just different. I felt like it was a different world that I was stepping into. I'm still slowly getting into that world, but just more so how a wide receiver moves and knowing the safeties and the corners and getting away from those linebackers that's trying to bump you out of your route. That's something that I'm still getting adjusted to, but I'm finding my way with it.
Who are your best friends on the team right now? Again, it can change down the road, but right now, who are your best friends?
Best friends? I can't really pick and choose. I've been here. Like I said, I've been accepted from everyone. And honestly, they've been so supportive as well as I have been to them. So it's really a brotherhood.
Well, that's great. What about the team traveling last week? Again, you've got 7 road games this year, and many in long distance. You went all the way to Kentucky, came back home. Now you got to go to Washington, D.C. How do you handle the travel of that? Because that's not easy with all the busing.
Yeah, you face a lot of adversity, but it's something that comes with the game. You look at whatever you're facing and you take it on head on. So that's something that we have to know and deal with, and we accepted it from the start. So,
well, Kendall, it's great having you here. We wish we had you for more years, but we're just going to be appreciative that we've got you while we have, and we look for more big things from Kendall Williams down the road.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, he's going to go grab some more of that Uccello's good food over here, Uccello's of Caledonia. We're going to take a break, come back with Coach Sparky, and talk about this Saturday's opponent, Bowie State in Maryland. Stay with us as the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccello's in Caledonia continues. Our final segment of the Davenport Coaches Show coming to you live right now from Uccello's in Caledonia. I'm Rick Berkey. The head coach, Sparky McEwen, rejoins us. And, Coach, you were right. 2 very fine young men, Christian Jones and Kendall Williams. Not only outstanding players, but you can just feel that they're good kids.
They're going to go back to their communities, and they're going to represent, their families really well. Leaders, both of those young men, and they already know what they want to do with their lives. And I get to work with guys like that every day, and it makes it enjoyable to go to work.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this Saturday's opponent. Again, your Road Warriors made the long trip to Kentucky, then made the wrong trip back. Now they've got to leave again tomorrow to go over the far East Coast. You're going to stay in Pittsburgh one night and then over to the Baltimore area after that to take on Bowie State. Let's talk a little bit about the travel, first of all. What's involved with that and the team?
The logistics are always tough, and my wife actually does a pretty good job. She helps us out with, some of that stuff. And it's really, really tough, because you have so many young men that you have to work with, and, different properties when it comes to the accommodations and, where you eat, when you eat. And there's just so many things that goes into this college football stuff. And I'm just happy and feel blessed that we have the means to do and travel the way that we do. We're going to leave tomorrow, to go over because it's such a significant drive, and we'll chop it up into 2 days. And our players understand, we've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable. And they do also know that, going on the road, it's not easy. You're going to be going into, hostile, territory and, fan bases and, and we understand it. We embrace it. We actually play well, on the road. And my coaches do a really good job once we are on site. And, we make it as comfortable as we can, being away from home and just knowing and understanding that when the day ends, it's a business trip. And we got to go in and we got to stay locked in and stay focused in order to go out and play in the backyard, of these of our competition.
Speaking of the competition, Bowie State's Bulldogs, the game last year was one of the better games of the season, a hard-hitting team, and it came down to the end last year.
It did, and they're going to continue. If you think about the area where they have to pull, their student athletes from. It's decorated and full of, great athletes over there. And, we understand that. We get that. And we're going to face as much talent, and speed as we're going to face, on the season, and we've got our hands full. There was another GLIAC opponent, that's familiar with them. Saginaw Valley played them a couple years ago, and Michael Hoare was on that team that played over there, and he told the guys that how tough it is to go over there and compete, So having someone that's familiar with it and to relay that information to the teammates and to prepare them for what we're going to face, we know it's going to be a 4-quarter war.
Like you, they played 2 quarterbacks Saturday, and Kevin Taylor and Jordan Morse. Compare the two style-wise. Are they similar? Are they different? What are they?
Actually, there's some similarities there. One's younger than the other one, and both of those guys, they were able to go in there and get their feet wet, and they played against a really good Lenoir-Rhyne team, Lenoir-Rhyne team that has a new coaching staff. The past coach went on to coach Division I after leading his team to the semifinals. So they went over to Lenoir-Rhyne, and Lenoir-Rhyne, was really good. And
Lenoir won that game, 32-19.
Yeah, and both quarterbacks played, so we were able to see both quarterbacks play. And I'm familiar with their offense. They got an outstanding young head coach over there, and the OC that really understands the game. And those guys took it to us when they came here last year, and they threw the ball 71 times last year, and I had never been affiliated in the game with as many passes. And it seems like, though, this year they're really worked hard to incorporate the run. So our hands are going to be full. Our guys got to be locked in, and we know it's going to be a game that's going to be a full 4 quarters.
You mentioned the run game. Curtis Murray, a good hard runner. He led them in rushing Saturday, including a 62-yard touchdown run for the Bulldogs.
Yes, he did. He's tough. He's legit. He's one that, just going in, we know that we're going to have to get more hats, to the ball because he's one that's not going to come down on the first tackler, so we got to rally to the ball. We got to do everything we can to get him down because he's one heck of a tough runner.
Well, Coach, again, hopefully 1 week from today we'll be here talking about a second victory. Again, it won't be easy. You got a big challenge ahead of you, but you showed Saturday that you can meet that challenge, and hopefully you can do it again this Saturday.
It's going to be warm. It's going to be warm out there, and
oh, that's right. Yeah, very warm.
We'll travel a few extra players to make sure that we can meet that challenge as well, because it's early in the season. Your players are going to be tested with their conditioning as well. So we did a little extra conditioning this week, just to prepare for that warm weather, because we practice in the mornings here, so it's pretty nice and cool in the morning. So this is going to be a tough one. But we look forward to it. We're going to embrace the challenge and may the best team win.
All right, you can follow our broadcast on 96 Win the Game radio live on Saturday afternoon, just a little before 12 noon to kick off there. That's going to wrap it up. Our second show of the year from Uccello's of Caledonia. Thanks to the good folks here at Uccello's. They're great hosts. It's a great place to come out and enjoy sports, and just in a great atmosphere around here. 100 TVs out here, all different sizes, different angles, and a great atmosphere and tremendous food, of course, here at Uccello's. That'll wrap it up here today. I want to thank our special guest players, Kendall Williams and Christian Jones. So for Coach Sparky McEwen, I'm Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us, and go Panthers.